I'm Heather Murray and welcome to my Adventures in Mixed Media class. I'm hoping that you will enjoy learning about some techniques with regards to journal making and altered books. And it's my pleasure to be able to share with you some of my techniques and tips, as well as giving you a little bit of a insider's view of my process and some of my own journal books and altered books. So I'm hoping that this particular class helps you to get excited about collage and about discovering your own process in art. Hi, and welcome back to the journal portion of this video class. And I thought to start with I would give you a peek inside some of the journals that I've been working on over the past number of years, and hopefully in revealing the interior of these journals I will also be revealing some techniques and tips that I can pass on to you. A journal doesn't need to be expensive. You can buy it anywhere. This particular one was purchased at a dollar store. What I really recommend though is to glue pages together when they're thin like this. You'll have the reinforcement you need, and you'll have a lot more ability to create something to keep. And here's a theme going on here with bugs. I thought I would indicate that sometimes that's the way it happens. I will say that most of my journaling is very free form. Rather like the altered books, I'm looking at pictures that appeal to me and text often that appeals to me as well, and often having a little fun with it as well. Something that is kind of when you put opposites together, when you have interesting backgrounds and then you plug in an image that you don't quite expect to find there, it becomes really interesting that way. At least it is to me. So here you go again. This one is a little more playful. Art is a way to connect with the world. And here we have a young girl jumping on a typewriter. Here's the end of my journal so far. I will journal whenever I'm at a point of stuckness. I just feel like I have to do something some days that's artistic, and this is a beautiful way to express myself without having to feel that I'm completing a huge piece of art. Finding figures that are interesting, putting them in another place, having fun with text and imagery. Here's another smaller journal that I've been working on, and I've incorporated some doodling and some drawing in with my images. You can see that the pages sometimes get a bit tacky from the medium, so just be aware of that. I don't mind the look of it, but you may get some images tearing away. You can see here I've used either my own printed out vintage imagery or some of the original ephemera from children's books, from text, from all sorts of sources, really. If you collect it, you know what I'm talking about. That's an old pattern piece in the girl's skirt, and different kinds of textures of patterns from design magazines. What you'll find is you start getting some really interesting things happening, and some surreal kind of imagery popping up when you start letting your mind flow like this. And you might even have a cat walk into your frame as well. I've used so many different kinds of textures and colors and and images, and cutting out something very small and then saving it for later to be reinserted into another image is quite fun. And here's a blank page just waiting to be embellished. There's a picture of some of my goats that I've incorporated into that particular page, with some other bits and pieces. This journal has been a lovely journal to work with because it's huge. It was also my first journal, and because of that, I really can notice the difference in my progression of collage and mixed media over the years. And I think this particular journal was responsible for setting me on that journey. I started with a lot of pages I've even covered over if I haven't liked them. The page on the right I've covered because it was something that I just didn't feel satisfied with anymore when I looked at it. And so, but most of it is still intact and the same. It was post 9/11 that I started to work in this journal as a form of expression, and I found it was really quite gratifying to start to put my images together and to abandon my old illustration and design and, you know, the way I strived for perfection in high realism in painting. This really kind of, for me, loosened the chains. Not that I don't have an admiration for painting and high realism, but I really felt that for myself this was a better path to take. It allowed me to start to express myself, and it made me realize I could actually turn these thoughts and this process into paintings and into other using other kinds of materials and substrates as well too. You can see I've used a lot of tissues, and again, it's the same thing. I would find particular pictures that I loved, and I was striving for very old, ancient images because I felt that way. I was being kind of copyright friendly, and then I realized, well, it's my journal, so it's not going anywhere other than maybe on this in this video, which I couldn't have forecasted at the time. And you know, I just rave about this because it was so much fun and so much easier to, at the time, be a mom and be able to shelter a half an hour or an hour of my time, or even less sometimes, just to create something and to come away with something that was finished. It was just a wonderful feeling, and still is. Here's one of those rare occasions where I've put in a photo of myself as a young child. Usually I veer away from personal photographs, but I was still interested in doing that at this time, and I've layered this with lots of pastels, oil pastels, and I think ink and whatever I could find, pencils. Another rare picture of Frida, which I drew and layered, some girls, and a drawing and a collage incorporated. Very, as I said, it was very different to see my work back then and to see where my journaling has evolved, but it certainly has served its purpose. These pictures, I had a number of industrial images from the 1950s and 60s, and I thought I'd juxtaposition them with some other vintage pictures, which would create another story. And this one is kind of humorous. The Rules of Health. The girl has a spider on her. She's shrieking, and there's a jumping chair. It doesn't necessarily, if you look at it, what does it mean? It doesn't matter. It's again, it's what I was describing earlier. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness in a written journal. You're using the images, and you're not trying to edit yourself. I think as artists we tend to edit all the time, and we critique our own work and sometimes find reasons to discard it, where this kind of work is just what it is. And I think that's quite liberating. And again, this is the reason why I use images like this that aren't more commercial images. They're you know, I've sought these images out, I've cut them out, and I've put them into another page in a piece to mean something else. Sometimes people have said my work is either a little bit on the dark side or disturbing, although I don't know exactly why, but I can see sometimes where the darkness creeps in, and I can see from the images I'm drawn to why they might jump to that conclusion. So now I'm going to take you through an actual page or two to show you a little bit about my process in action. And here's a background that I found, an old painting print. The paper is quite worn and thin. And then again, I have this Don't Steal, something I tore out of an old book that somebody had scripted in. And an image of a woman who she's a woman I've cut out and had around for a while, but I haven't found a use for her. And a lizard from a child's storybook. Now the woman I'll mention, she's a picture that I printed out from my computer, an old vintage image. And then I cut her out carefully. Everything I do generally in my journal is either cut very carefully or ripped. I like both for different reasons. So I'm also thinking about what do I want to add to this. And this is all I do this within moments. And that's, to me, the satisfying thing about this is the pulling together of these images only took a few minutes. And then positioning them is the satisfying part as well, too. So now that I have them in position, I'm rather pleased with the results. I like the way the lizard pops up from her black and white figure. I'm using my Elmer, or I could be using any kind of brand of glue stick. I won't advertise. And gluing it. And then I'm working also on another page as well. So here's the same idea. There's a back picture that I've taken from perhaps something like National Geographic or Travel Magazine. And then there's an older image from a painting of two figures dancing. So I thought that might be interesting together, and then I've got the word actors. So you've got all these pieces. I've got a China marking pencil and some ripped paper at the bottom. So I'm just trying to think about how I'd like them to go together. And again, I'm not being too harsh of a judge on myself because I'm really feeling like whatever happens will be just fine. So here we go. I've put this together. I have a little border. The figures are dancing. And the word actor is on top, actors. It may say something, somebody might have a different impression than my impression, but clearly this is a very fast and satisfying way to pull it together. And then I've got a China pencil that I've run across the end of the page, kind of along the border. So sometimes I'll use this to add a little bit of extra interest, or just so that I've got my pencil working as well too. I can't even say that this was intentional. I just thought this might be interesting. Let's see if we can carry that border across. And there you have it. So sorry it's on the slant like that. My filming techniques have something to be desired. But here's another page. I'm thinking of a circle And what do I want to do with that circle? I'm not really sure, but we'll see. And here is more of what I've done to pull it together. I didn't break this down step by step because, again, it takes a lot of time, and you can kind of clearly see what I've used. I've used these aqua pencils, aqua color pencils. You can use whatever you like, pastels, watercolors, and I just played with the images. I had the hennaed hand, I had some picture of the moon, a Holiday Inn advertisement, and wands, and an old picture of a vintage woman that I've colored in, and I've put yellow and pink in her skin, and I've used a bit of the China pencil to outline and add some texture to her hair. So, and then I've gotten a bit more playful with the background. I've taken some of that aqua pencil and made some scribbles. So this one again happened very, very quickly. Do I like it? Well, I don't know. Maybe I do, but I enjoyed making it. So we're nearing the end of this video, and there's some thoughts I'd like to leave you with and some tips. Please be open-minded and try different things. If you can, work a little out of your comfort zone. Look for images that excite you and interest you. And I think what you'll find is you'll start to see patterns. Don't be afraid to draw into your collages in your journal. You can incorporate both drawing and collage or painting. In terms of using materials, really the sky's the limit. You can even make your journal multi-textured. Just don't allow your animals to eat it if you can help it. And above all, have fun. One thing that's really helped me is to try things in the rest of my life that I would never have thought of trying before. And, you know, I think that if you incorporate a little bit of play into your life and see what's possible out there, then you'll find it'll gently weave through your art as well. So have fun and make art. And I'll leave you with that thought. Bye for now.
That's nice to do. Well, yeah, but you can't come that close to me because I can't get you all in.
Okay.
Should be an ad for hardwood floor in this.